Well, I hope you're ready to soil those pantaloons because I got some big updates for the RTX 40 series. Let's talk about it. Before that, this video is brought to you by World of Warships. World of Warships is a free-to-play game available on PC featuring 400 historical ships you can control on more than 40 maps with dynamic weather and updated new water effects to make it look better than ever. And with 44 million players plus 5 different warship classes to choose from, including the battleships, destroyers, aircraft carriers, cruisers, and submarines, whether you want to play alone or with friends, there's tons of great options to make every play session feel unique. Plus, not only is World of Warships a great-looking immersive game, but it's like a digital museum housing faithful recreations of ships from World War I and II, as well as blueprints of ships that have never been seen before. So if you're interested in battling it out in the seas and want to support the channel, click the link in the description below and use code FIRE to get a free 200 doubloons, premium Battleship USS Texas, 20 Restless Fire Camouflage, 1 million credits, and 7 days of a premium account. Well, these leaks are starting to come out hot, fast, wet, and wild because it looks like, yes indeed, the RTX 40 series is likely going to be announced sometime during mid-July if the latest leaks and rumors turn out to be true, which is, by the way, just in a couple of months. So yeah, we're starting to get a ton of new information about the RTX 40 series, and specifically just last night we actually got some images of what appear to be the RTX 4090 Ti as well as the RTX 4080. But are these things actually real, and what does it tell us about the RTX 4000 series as a whole? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at these and then I'll give you my thoughts on them. So first of all, this information is going to be coming from videocards.com, and they do have their original sources linked as well. So if you want to go ahead and read the whole article and see where it all originated from, I will have those links in the description below. But taking a look first here at the first image, what we can see here is what appears to be an RTX 4080 cooler. Now, I have seen some people online suggest that this is actually the RTX 4090 Ti cooler, but actually I don't think that's the case, and here's why. So if we take a look at the cooler here, specifically the base plate, which is, by the way, much larger than the RTX 3090 Ti's base plate, so this does tell me that yes indeed this is a new cooler at the very least. What we can see is that there's actually only 3 thermal pads here, and taking a look at the right one, well, it looks like this one can support up to 3 memory chips. The one on the bottom looks like it can also support up to 3 memory chips, and the one on the left can only support up to what I believe is going to be 2 memory chips. So if we actually do the math there, obviously 3 plus 3 plus 2 gives you 8, and you might be wondering, oh no, is this thing only going to have 8 gigabytes of VRAM? Honestly, no, I think these are going to be 16 gigabit chips, which means that we are looking at the RTX 4080, which is based on the 103 dyne, which I also know is going to have 16 gigabytes of VRAM, likely clocked at 21 gigabits per second. So this is basically confirmation to me that yes, this cooler that we're looking at right now is the RTX 4080 cooler and not the RTX 4090 Ti cooler. And that's actually very, very interesting because I also saw some people kind of do some rough math and see that this cooler is actually going to be probably slightly bigger than the RTX 3090 cooler that came before it. So even the RTX 4080, if this does turn out to be true and it's not some sort of manufacturing mistake, is going to actually be even bigger than any other cooler that came before it. So as you can imagine, yes, these graphics cards are likely going to be pulling a lot of power. In fact, even the RTX 4080 is likely going to be drawing at least 350 watts of power. It could be even slightly higher than that, but I do believe at this point in time, we're probably talking about 350 watts, which if you consider how much more performance you're getting, well, that's going to be a massive performance per watt increase over the RTX 3090, which is also 350 watts, but it's also likely going to be much cooler, at least if you take a look at the cooling solution that we're seeing right here. And in fact, talking about the cooling solution, you know, if you've been paying attention to stuff I've been saying, like on the Techonomics podcast and stuff like that, I have mentioned that I do believe that the cooler we're going to be seeing on the RTX 4080, 4090, and 4090 Ti is probably going to have more fins for higher surface area, and it turns out that is the case. What we're looking at here, at least on the top and bottom, is 24 fins versus 23. Now, I was thinking they were going to move to like 26 or something like that, but either way, yes, it looks like there is going to be a higher surface area on this cooler as well. So not only is it going to have a bigger base plate, which you can see right here, but it's also going to have a bigger cooler overall, and on top of that, more surface area as a whole. So yes, this cooler is going to be absolutely insane and is going to be probably one of the best coolers in the entire generation. And in fact, what we can also notice about this cooler is that it does appear to actually be very, very similar to the 3080 and 3090 coolers before it in terms of its overall design, because we do have one fan going downwards and one going upwards, just like the previous generation. So there's not going to be anything that's going to be too different about this cooler overall. It does appear to just be a modified version of the RTX 3090 Ti cooler, which, by the way, if you take a look at the VRM heat sinks on this thing, it actually looks like the VRM could potentially be even more beefy than the RTX 3090 Ti, which is definitely good to see. And it also is actually basically more proof that what people were saying about the 3090 Ti and it being basically a test vehicle for the RTX 40 series does appear to be true, because the VRM layout does appear to be very, very similar. So overall, yeah, this first image tells us a lot of information information about the RTX 40 series, and I'm honestly, guys, getting really hyped for this stuff because once we start to see images leaking out, this is a big deal because, yeah, once the images start leaking out within the next couple of months, you can pretty much guarantee that something's going to be announced in not too long. It is definitely going to be a massive increase in the amount of leaks that you're going to be seeing, so I think the next couple of months are going to be very exciting, and if you want to keep up to date on those leaks, make sure you're subscribed. But let's go ahead and move on to the next image here, and we can see another picture of the actual cooler itself from the top down, and as you can see, this thing is absolutely monstrous, and it looks like it's also going to be sharing the same V-shaped design on the PCB that we've seen before. Once again, it looks like the same fan orientation, and overall nothing too different, but just much bigger, like we talked about with the last image. Now moving on to the next image here, we can see actually what appears to be the external part of these graphics cards for the 4090 Ti. Now I say 4090 Ti because although it's pretty blurry right here, if we actually move on to the next image, there's a zoomed in version where it does say RTX 4090 Ti, and this one's actually a little bit bizarre because a lot of people were saying this one is a fake, and if you take a really close look, it does look kind of bizarre. It looks like somebody maybe could have photoshopped it, and I'm gonna go ahead and say overall with all of these images, honestly, I do believe that they look fairly legit, but there is definitely a possibility that somebody could be faking this. As always, there's definitely always that possibility that somebody just went through a lot of work to make something or found some old throwaway version of the 3090 Ti cooler and went ahead and did some photoshopping and made it look very real. However, overall, I'm gonna say the last two images that we looked at do look pretty legit, and I'm about 80% plus sure that those are real. Now, of course, again, they could be fake, but I am actually pretty sure they're real. Now, this one that we're looking at right now with the 4090 Ti, this one's a little bit more suspect. It definitely could be real, don't get me wrong. However, I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm probably more 50-50 on this particular image because there's some really bizarre stuff about it. Again, it does kind of almost look photoshopped in a way, but that being said, in previous generations, we've seen similar stuff, and it seems like on the manufacturing side, everything isn't necessarily 100% perfect, especially when you're getting a blurry image. So again, I'm going to say 50-50 on this one, but if this is true, if this turns out to be actually real, then the 4090 Ti is already in production, which is ridiculous. I didn't think this thing would actually be fully in production already. I thought that this thing was going to come out maybe significantly later than the RTX 4090 in response to AMD, but potentially what we're looking at here is that maybe Nvidia's just going to be releasing stuff like the 4090 and 4090 Ti first, and then followed up by 4080 and then 4070, just releasing the absolute most expensive, most powerful GPUs first, which would be kind of bizarre, although it's not that far off of what they've done in the past. So honestly, guys, overall, these images are looking fairly legit to me. I think there's a good chance that at least some of these are definitely real. We'll have to wait and see if that does turn out to be true or not. Overall, it also tells us a lot of information about the graphics cards themselves, and just honestly, guys, I'm getting super excited for this generation of graphics cards, but I want you guys to let me know in the comments below, do you think this is real or do you think that it's a fake? I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts on this, but I think that does it for this video, and I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video where we're going to go over even more leaks. But hey, that's just what I think. Do you think these images are real or do you think that they're fake? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below, and of course, I'll see you in the next video. If you made it to the end of the video, be sure to drop a like. Every time you do so, AMD and Nvidia get more stock. Also, if you want to see more, click here. You won't be disappointed.